Welcome, everybody, to Circle Back to You. I'm your host, Jason Wilson. On this episode, I'm joined by STORMIE and SHAWN Andrews. They are the owners of Breathe EXP, where your vision is their blueprint for extraordinary experiences. Their expertise lies in transforming concepts into reality, crafting events that are not just gatherings, but grand narratives of creativity and innovation. It's such an honor to have you both on the show. Give us some background information about yourself.
Excellent. Well, I'm Shawn Andrews. I am the loving wife of Mr. STORMIE Andrews now. Very proud of that. So I have been in operation for 35 years with a full service firm specializing in marketing, full service marketing and operations. So originally, I started and I think all of my talent came from event production. So putting together some major events. I started in Michigan. I got my first, again, with the help and support of my parents, I got my first contracts, and it was a very good international contract with the help of my parents again. And at the age of 15 is when I first started, and I got a major contract with William Morrison Group at age 17. And again, I was with not only my parents' guidance, but their full support. So I come from a home of business owners. I was very grateful and blessed that I come from a family and neighborhood of other business owners who were generous enough to share their knowledge, share their wisdom, which allowed me to continue to grow in the business world. Again, over 35 years now, and continuing on right now, still very happy in operations with global team members located here in Las Vegas, and with this handsome man as my partner, my business partner now.
So I guess that's my cue to dive in. My name is STORMIE Andrews, and Shawn has already shared who I am. I'm her husband, and a little bit of background on me. So 2 years ago, I sold my business, which is awesome. And the business was the name of the business, Yoko was actually the largest HubSpot agency in the state of Nevada. And during that time of Yoko that I had for over a decade, I created a system, a marketing system called the World's Best Buyer Persona System. And that system is used by marketers all over the planet. As a matter of fact, it was such a successful system that Intercom named me one of the top 50 tech visionaries on the planet for creating a marketing system that really gets into the psychology of buyers. And, so applying a background of neurolinguistic programming with sales knowledge, and some of the other team members that I had helped me put it together was military intelligence, psychologists, and all sorts of creative components help create an amazing marketing system. So with the sale of that business, I came to work for my boss, this one right here. So what I like to say is, hey, she's my boss in more ways than one, but the beauty of it is I'm sleeping with the boss.
You guys have such a wonderful sense of humor. I wanted to ask you, some couples find it impossible to work together. How do you manage your work life and home life?
We are both, we're both focused, professional people, truly honest and focused. And we met on a business board. We met at the university that we have here in Nevada, University of Las Vegas, UNLV. And we met on one of their most important boards, which was their President's Society.
The President's Corporate Council.
Yeah, President's Corporate Council. They actually changed their name so many times. But it was the board that made a lot of the business decisions. We were a part of development, raising funds, making decisions on recruiting the university's president. So we both come from strong business backgrounds. So that's how we first interacted. So I think for us, it's pretty unique. We first started a relationship based around business before we were ever friends, and before we started dating, and before, of course, we got married. So I think for us, that was natural.
Yeah, we both don't, even though we're both in the world of marketing, we have different strengths, right? There are certain areas that she runs circles around me. There are certain areas, I'm not going to say I run circles around her because I might get in trouble, but I'll run a circle, not circles. No, but there's certain areas where she has her strengths. There's areas that I have my strengths. And fortunately, we do a pretty good job most of the time to recognize that. So we know who to submit to say, listen, this should be your call. You make the call on this one because you have this is your lane, right? And that has caused some friction in times because maybe one of us has an opinion, but fortunately we've made the decision early on to allow the lane of the person who's had the most reps, who's driven in that lane the most often, to ultimately come up with the final decision.
Right. And that's a good point. So we established we established the rules. There was just, again, a set of rules, a set of laws. We established the roles that we played. And I don't think we have unmanaged egos that we can't accept those roles.
Right.
And there's trust, there's respect, but there are facts, there's the reality, and that comes with the laws, with the roles.
Right. So yeah, so we had a business relationship for many years before we ended up in our personal relationship that we're in today. We can blame it on COVID. COVID created this. And, one of the things that was interesting during COVID, Shawn is more of a guarded person than myself, right? I'll just jump out to a whole bunch of people. I'm like, look at all these people in terms of strangers.
It's called selective.
Okay, selective.
Not
See,
guarded.
not guarded, selective, less selective.
Very big on words.
So during COVID, Shawn had a few people that she would meet with in person. And I was one of those people. And during that time frame, what we decided to do, we'd get together on a Saturday or a Sunday. And because we're in Las Vegas, it gets a little warm here. We would get together 5, 6 in the morning and decide to walk up this hill in this park in a community that I live at. And
it's similar to almost the
yeah, it's similar to the visual, but it's probably much smaller, right? But we climbed to the top of this hill. And we would have conversations. We would plan these conversations to take 1 or 2 hours. Well, next thing you know, they took 6, 7. The entire day has gone past us.
We didn't even know the day passed.
And during that time, even though she wouldn't admit it,
you were also divorced.
Yeah, I was divorced.
So
I don't know where that came from. During that time frame, as we would do the walk, I started to get feelings for Shawn during that time frame, right? I'm confident she had feelings for me. She just didn't realize it at the time, but she won't admit it. But at that time frame, what I decided to do, a couple of things. One, I decided to ask her out on an evening, and I wanted to let her know that I had feelings for her. And so we go to a restaurant. At the restaurant, I did my best to give her a compliment. And I was a little nervous in this particular scenario. And I wanted to give her a compliment to let her know that that she was beautiful. But for me, her brains was more important than her beauty. I wanted to let her know that. However, why don't you share how it came out?
Well, the greatest part about this is he was in friend zone with me. And when we do make decisions that someone is in friend zone, that's actually for me, the word friend is a very powerful word anyway. So when he made it to friend zone, that's a gem. That is a very special place. And I really wanted to protect and keep him in that, which is a beautiful place.
And by the way, this friend zone, it was a big deal because I thought we were friends for like 6 or 7 years before we were friends. And how I discovered that, one day we're at an event, I introduced her. Hey, this is my friend Shawn. She looked at me like I was crazy and like, I'm not your friend. So I'm like, oh,
together.
Okay. I thought she was joking, but no, she was dead serious. Yeah. So she's serious with her terms. Okay, continue.
So we were in this great, positive, strong friend zone. And Stormy started to stutter. And he never stuttered with me. He was always, so when he started to stutter, I thought, oh no, I hope he's not going to say what I think he's going to say. Because no, don't ruin the friend zone. Don't ruin that. And surely, so here's the best part about it for me. He expressed that he was interested, but I was able to use his words against him because he didn't give me the compliment that he had in his mind. The words that came out of his mouth were, so, I'm stuttering. So I've been wanting to talk to you because I used to think that having a beautiful face and a nice body was important. But you're the first one that made me realize it's not. It's only your mind. I knew what he wanted to say, but I was able to use it against him so that I can shut it down. In my mind, I thought I was shutting it down. So
it's a family-friendly show. She used an explicitive and said she's not Shrek and thought she squashed it.
I did.
However, what I heard was she's into me. And fortunately, that's what I heard, because the next week we had on the calendar a large group of people going out to do some stargazing, something Shawn's been wanting to do for a couple of years.
Had it planned for a couple of years with employees and their families, with clients and their families. But then when COVID came, it wasn't, something that got put on a back burner. So in October of 2020, well, starting in September, it's like, great, we can start planning because it's all outdoors and we can just meet up and we can make this an outdoor sort of adventure. So I had invited, there was 22 people who were supposed to come, but leading up to this event, people started canceling, and even up until the meeting time, people were canceling. And the only person that was at the meeting spot was Stormie.
So that sounds like a date to me.
Everyone.
That looks like a date to me. So during that night, it's only this. So now it's just the two of us. It was the week after I made my first move, right? So it's the week after we're out stargazing. And while we're out stargazing, Shawn stated that I made some clumsy moves to let her know that I was still interested in her. They were so clumsy, as a matter of fact, she started getting fearful for her life. No joke. She was scared. She's like, did I come out here with somebody that's going to harm me? And
Jason, you can relate to this. So again, I'm Stormie's second wife. Stormie had been in his first marriage since high school. And so he didn't have any clue, any idea, it seemed, to how to approach or how to whatever. And that clearly wasn't a date, but he took that as a date and an opportunity to try to make a move, which was so strange and weird. And I wish we can even explain to you. Can we tell you the move he made real fast? Can we just?
Of course, yeah.
We have a different version of events, right? She remembers her slightly differently than I do, but we'll go with her version.
About 12 feet away from each other. And we're looking at stars in different directions. The next thing I felt was a bump. Like someone bumped me, which could have happened if we're looking at stars in different directions. Maybe we bumped each other from behind. But yeah, he bumped me. Then it was evident that he did it on purpose, because he said, look. He just pointed into an area and said, look, that's a star. And then he threw hot air on my neck. He didn't blow. It was one expression short of a. So I moved away. I politely moved away. Well, maybe 5 seconds later, it was the same bump, but on the opposite side now of me. And instead of pointing to the stars to the left, he pointed into the sky on the right and said, look, that's Jacob's ladder. And then he blew the hot air again.
Now she's starting getting a little scared, right? She's starting like, uh-oh, what did I get myself into? We're in the middle of the desert. No one's around because
wasn't that creepy and weird? It was just the strangest.
Come on, Jason. You're
Okay, I'm not gonna say it's strange, but it's a little out of the ordinary.
I'm persistent.
Now, remember, I didn't place it that he said he was interested, because I thought that was squashed. I thought that was shut down. So I didn't connect the dots.
So now she's a little nervous. And we had met at a restaurant that everyone was supposed to gather at together. Since no one showed up, she rode in my car. And so we rode to my car. I've got an electric car. And we drove out there. And the reason I bring that, well, I'll get to that. But
that's very important.
That's very important, because she didn't feel she could drive an electric car. So at this point where she's a little freaked out by me, she's looking for weapons. Like, oh, this guy does something. Do I see a stick? Do I see a rock? It's in the desert. Like, there's coyotes and rattlesnakes. So then I walk over to my car, because one of the things that she's like a tea connoisseur. She loves tea. So I tell her, I'm like, hey, I told my son I've got a date tonight,
I was
and had him make some tea.
like, he thought this was a date. Oh, that was a move. Oh, we really had to have a conversation because he thought this was a date and that was a move. He was trying to make a move. Oh, okay. Bless him.
So now she's not quite as scared. She just thought I was a clumsy guy at making dates. However, she's still a little cautious. So I'm like, she comes over to the car. I start pouring some tea, and I'm not thinking anything of it. She's watching me pour both cups. She's making sure I'm drinking it before she drinks it because she's a little terrified. Is this guy, spiking the tea? But right then, after she had drunk the tea instantaneously, the way she describes it is,
this is Jason. So beautiful. 'Cause I didn't believe in things like this. I really did not. At that moment, the sky stopped. And it really felt like Cupid, some magical, some spiritual thing happened. And it was like instant calm. The sky stopped, the stars stopped moving because they were moving slowly. They stopped, it seemed. The light was shining. The tea was very warm and delicious. It was the best tea I ever had. But Stormy also, his energy shifted. He went from a weird, nervous, is he a serial killer, to back to this very safe, calm leader, a man. And everything felt so secure and safe at that. It just automatically shifted. And Stormy then said, he put his hand out and said, now let's go look at the stars over there. And just like in a movie, I put my hand in his hand and I let him lead me. He led me to the area and it felt right. So we say that's when our stars aligned. It was not a choice. There was nothing, it just, because I was so against it. Remember, I was so against even a thought. But everything seemed like it was magical and made for us.
and then it still took me another 5 hours, it seemed, to get my first kiss, right? Yeah. My unsmooth moves. But basically at around 5:13 in the morning, at that point, I invited her back. So this is like a 15-hour date, right? We started at 4 in the morning, so maybe it's 4 in the afternoon. It's now 5 in the morning. By that time, I had invited her after the Cupid shot. Hey, would you like to come back to my house for a nightcap, for a drink? She did. And the way she describes it.
Jason, remember, he had not dated since high school.
Let me back up. Shortly, I married a high school sweetheart. There was some time right after high school where I did do some dating. So,
well, but
and then there was a little bit of dating before we got together, but nothing.
But it
wasn't serious.
So at his home, where remember he had gained this calmness and security and safeness, but then he lost it because when we got back to his house and he started talking about high school and he started talking about his girlfriends from high school.
Oh, bro, that's one of the worst things that you could do on a date. But yeah,
he went on and on,
yeah.
on and on.
But
and
then,
on.
and just, yeah. And, but then.
And he landed on a female from high school that he mentioned from the Netherlands. Her name was Kiwi. And he went on and on about Kiwi. And I'm like, wow, it's taking the longest for this drink. But then he finally said, and by the way, Kiwi just reached out to me on Facebook. And she said, after all this time, you're still the best kisser. That was my end. And I said, well, let me be the judge.
And the rest is history.
And then we've been together ever since.
So the story actually worked.
He paid you to say this too, just like he paid everyone else.
I'll send you your check in the mail.
I see how you are.
That is one of the most awesome stories that I've ever heard. Okay, so how long did you guys date before you actually proposed?
Well, I know that seriously, after dating for 2 months, I knew that he was everything. We started dating on October 17th. And in December, I had this little mapped out plan of who he was going to meet. So I made sure they're looking at him from a different angle. He's making sure I'm not seeing something. And I had an order, and I said to each one, I believe this is my husband. Now I remember I am 51 now, 52, going on 52. So I wasn't like, I'm desperate to get married. It wasn't an interest. I was never going to settle down. I wanted to make sure I had everything on my list. I know that sounds ridiculous, but I just had a standard. Very good dad, close relationship. I had just very high standards, and I would rather remain friends with someone than to compromise my standards or to really go against what I know I deserved. And so for that first 2 months, for me to have told people that this is the one, Stormy was at just an amazing high, just an amazing person, then an amazing man, and then an amazing boyfriend. And no doubt that he is a super amazing husband. I thank him every day for his persistence. And so I knew in December of that year, 2020, 2 months later, I just knew it. Stormy made a comment in that month, December. You said something like, if we stay together, you said something like, I got a feeling if we stay together for the next few months, we're going to be together forever. Do you remember that you said that?
No, I'm in trouble now.
You're not.
I'm in trouble.
I've
But
accepted you,
yeah,
But he said that. And I think the other thing that's important to mention is we're an interfaith couple, because I'm Jewish and he's Christian. And he had also said, because it was around Christmas time, and he said, we're going to have a lot of holidays to celebrate together. And
I remember that.
mhm. And then he proposed the following December, but you knew because you bought the ring.
Yeah, I had the ring. I just had it sit in my pocket. We'd
the
go
color.
places. And I had it for, I don't know, several weeks, a month or two. And we were in Atlanta. We had a scenario while we were in Atlanta where we had the perfect venue. We were at a Motown tribute band. And as we walked in, our seats were front row center stage. Went to the owner of the club and say, listen, this is what I want to do. Can we do it? So he broke the set, brought me on stage. And during the show, the band just got done playing Just My Imagination. Then he brought me on stage and they finished up with My Sharia More. And it was a beautiful event. It was the perfect venue to do such a thing.
Now you have a video of this actually happening. Could you show that for us, please?
Just My Imagination is an important song to me. My dad taught himself how to play the keyboards. And as a child with stepmother, my 2 stepbrothers, 2 cats, 2 dogs, and 2 birds, we sat at the piano and we all had a part in that song. So it was very special that happened to have been the song that was playing when the owner cut the set. And remember, that wasn't planned, that he cut the set at that time.
Right. So let's see something.
You know, the 2 of us traveled from Vegas to be here tonight, here at the St. James. And, baby. Baby, I knew it was just my imagination. But will you love me, baby?
Y'all put your hands together for love, y'all. Y'all shake it out.
Wow, what an awesome moment. I know every time you guys see that, you smile.
Me too.
Absolutely.
Me too. When the owner first stopped the set, I thought
She thought I was going to pitch books. She's like, he's here to start talking about a book.
how his book, because Stormy has 2 other published books, and I was like, oh, I didn't know we had, like, okay, this is interesting. But then when he called me up too, well, I thought, oh, we're just gonna get up there and sing. I have no problem doing that.
Now here's the funny part, right? if you haven't noticed, sometimes I might get a little nervous in certain types of situations. We've already shared with you how our first date and me coming on. So if you noticed, and you can rewind the video during the proposal, I actually forgot to propose. I just said, hey, this is just my imagination. And I clambered up. Here you go. So those are the times that maybe I get a little nervous, apparently.
Well, you know what? Everything worked out the way it was supposed to. So how long after you got married did you have the idea about your book?
In reference to the book, one of the things that we had a pact, right? Hey, we want to produce a book we want to write a book together. Let's create a piece of art together that we can put out into the world before our 1-year anniversary. And that was just one of the things that we made together, right? And the assumption is that the book was going to be a business book. We both have accomplished business backgrounds, so we would figure out what we would do together. But then through a spark of inspiration, I came home one day and I said, baby, guess what? You know, take it from here. You may keep rolling.
I have a great idea for our book. I know we said we may do a business book, but check this out. Now just listen to me. So he was taking a while to get the thought out, but then as soon as he said, the name of the book is The 21 Laws to Keep Your Woman in Check, or it was actually The 20 Laws to Keep Your Woman in Check. That was
my first thought. Imagine this for just a second. You coming home and say, hey, speaking to your wife, I got an idea for a book. And the book is the 20 laws, the 21 laws to keep your woman in check. Now, I'm like, calm down. Let me step back. Let me give you the whole premise before things get out of hand here.
But Stormy always tells jokes. So I didn't know, because he was super excited. I was like, okay, is he joking or is it serious? Because if he's serious, and I realized he was serious, like, whoa, what is this about? And he went on to explain what it was about. And it was ingenious. And he said that he would write this perspective, the things that are commonly said, and maybe a misconception for men, and maybe the alpha male. And I'll write this perspective. Then you'll write a counter to this in the back of the book, to all of the perspectives, giving the female perspective.
And part of that inspiration was, hanging out with guys and hanging out through my entire life. Oftentimes when I get together with guys, there's the proverbial pounding on the chest. And the pounding on the chest is, hey, let me tell you how things happen in my household. In my household, I rule the rules. In my household, I do this. And they would always say in my household until their wife walks in the door and they clamor up, right? They're like, oh, hey, keep that quiet. That's not, so it's just one of those things. And guys just had fun with it. So I wanted to take a lot of those things that guys say and have a lot of fun with it. Like, and then also take the elements of what guys say they're going to do or don't do. So like one of the laws goes into the fact that if you start a project at your home, not finishing it, that's not an oversight. That's an art. Right. So because guys, how often the guys out there, right? The wives know what I'm talking about. We start projects and just don't finish them. Another one is the adage where guys have the remote control. I'm one of them. When we watch TV, I got the remote control and it's like a scepter. It's like a scepter of power. You want to change channels? Let me change channels. I got this. So we took a lot of those types of scenarios where we get accused of not hearing. So I'm like, okay, instead of telling me I don't listen, not hearing, not listening, you guys just don't listen. I'm like, let me do a law on selective hearing and turn that into an art form. So we took a lot of those things, turned them into art forms, and where I add this comedic element to those types of scenarios. However, the chapters that follow each of my chapters of these exaggerated, outlandish, super fun laws, Shawn writes a counter to it, and her counter brings the reality of the situation, kind of like when the guy is pounding on his chest saying that in my house, this is the way it works. Then the wife walks in, you're like, okay, there's the reality, right? So her chapter is the equivalency of her walking in and saying, okay, you just heard him. Let me give you the reality, but not just the reality. Let me share some nuggets of wisdoms as it relates to the relationship to show that, one, there is no laws, there is no power, it's not about dominance, it's not about submission, it's about two people coming together doing things collectively, and it's the greater sum of those two parts that's special. And it's their own unique perspectives that two people can do. And that's what really, that's really the magic of the book. So it's designed, the play on the words, the 21 laws to keep your woman in check. I feel bad for the guy that picks up the book to read it, thinking he's going to get knowledge and nuggets to keep his woman in check. No, but it may give him knowledge to say, oh, you know what? Maybe I can relate. Maybe I read this chapter and that's a little bit of me in there. And maybe by learning that that's a little bit of himself in there, it helps him self-reflect and maybe make some changes. Maybe his wife reads or his significant other reads and it says, maybe that is a scenario and we can laugh about these things together and make our life a little sweeter together. You agree with that? You got anything to add to that? Nothing?
I think it's awesome.
Okay, I just rolled with
It's true.
You guys fit the definition of power couple, and what a power couple does is give power to other people. That's exactly what you're doing with your book, with your business, and everything that you're involved in. Thank you so much for being on the show. How can people find you?
We've actually made it easy for you. Take it away.
It's very easy. Just go to Shawn and Stormie, and that's SHAWN and AND Stormie STORMIE.com. ShawnandStormie.com.
And then from there, there's a link tree. In that link tree, you can find a link to pick up the book. There's an Audible read by the two of us, right? And you can and connect with us on LinkedIn and all sorts of other resources. If you want to connect with us, ShawnandStormie.com is the way to go.
Excellent. Thanks again, ladies and gentlemen. Stormie and Shawn Andrews. We will be back next week. Take care.
Everyone.
Bye-bye.
For now.